January 11, 2011 was a momentous day. Of all my victories and failures, accolades and reprimands, I pinpoint that day as the one that set me on the path I'm on right now. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and honored guest. Have you ever found that when you look back at something that happened that was bad, that you remember it with vivid clarity? Even the mundane and trivial details. Well, on January 11, 2011, I was about to receive some bad news, so I remember it with vivid clarity. My boss came by my desk, tapped on it, and said, "Can I meet you in the boardroom for a second?" My coworker Trevor shot me a "what's this about" look. And I shrugged, unfazed, grabbed my yellow notebook, and strode down the hall. And there I was confronted with suits. Senior management, union reps, and instantly I knew I was being laid off. The meeting was short, impersonal, to the point. They thanked me for my 3.5 years of service, and I was let go, effective immediately. They asked me to sign a letter, gather up my belongings, and leave within the half hour. They informed me that they were also going to be letting go of 4 other employees that day, including my coworker Trevor. So they asked me to please step into an adjacent office so that he wouldn't see me as he approached. Despite my very best efforts, tears had welled up in my eyes. I drove home in a daze, and once there, I was suddenly awash with despair. What now? My first instinct was to crawl back under my still warm covers and have myself a good long cry. But something inside me rebelled against that idea. Do not wallow, it said. So I immediately took action, and I unpacked my box of belongings. I had to find a home for the things that had, until so recently, lived on my desk. Value-sized tub of hand lotion, framed sketch of a mountain landscape, a pair of binoculars, and then I sent a mass email to everyone I knew, telling them I was now on the job search. And by the end of that afternoon, I had brushed the cobwebs off of my resume and applied for 3 jobs that excited me. And that was my first indication that this was a blessing in disguise. My second indication was when I checked my messages at the end of the day and was overcome by the sheer volume I had received from friends and family, classmates and colleagues. An avalanche of text messages, a flood of emails, a Facebook poke. That evening, I went to the King's Head for our layoff party. And the 5 of us shut the pub down that night. We had nowhere to be the next morning. It took me 4 months to find a new job. 4 months that had its fair share of despair and anxiety. But I refused to settle for anything less than exactly what I was looking for in my career. I was tenacious. And I found a new job. One in which I carried more responsibility, earned more income, and had more opportunity for growth. So the following year, on January 11, 2012, I was able to happily send Trevor a happy layoff anniversary email. The following morning, January 12, 2012, I was laid off from my new job. You can't make this stuff up. 1 year and 1 day later, I was unbelievably experiencing it again. But this time, instead of barely managing to keep my tears in check, I was barely able to keep from laughing. I was once again forced to pack up my belongings, that same framed sketch, again the binoculars, a new value-sized tub of hand lotion. And that night, I attended another layoff party. This one was massive. We rented a suite of rooms at the Delta and toasted the 70 employees who had lost their jobs that day. It was a night filled with laughter and tears, and I was paraded around to tell my story, did you hear Jennifer Ryan lost her job 1 year ago too? Isn't that hilarious? It wasn't that funny, but I was able to share my story with many people who were worried, anxious, and despairing. I told them they would land on their feet. I told them I wasn't worried, because I wasn't. And sure enough, 4 months later, again, I landed my current job at Investors Group. My second layoff in a mere 366 days turned out to be another blessing in disguise. I had found a job where I carried even more responsibility, earned even more income, and had even more opportunity for growth. Even though my career got off to a rocky start, I'm glad that I was able to learn these lessons at such a young age. I had to learn some pretty tough lessons about budgets and emergency funds. And if you don't have an emergency fund, I implore you, please let me hook you up with somebody from Investors Group. It's very important. I also learned that some cliches are true, that when one door closes, another one opens, and that sometimes things really do happen for a reason. I learned that no matter what, through hard work and the support of others, I'm going to land on my feet. However, I was getting a little bit nervous. The fateful day was fast approaching. January 13, 2013. Would the trend continue? I was so relieved when I looked at my calendar and knew I couldn't possibly lose my job that day. January 13th was a Sunday.